3 times in the Bible, an angel appears with a drawn sword in his hand. What do these 3 revelations have in common? What is the purpose of revealing in this way? One of the men who saw the apparition of the angel with a drawn sword is King David. David looked up and saw the angel of the Lord standing between heaven and earth, with a drawn sword in his hand extended over Jerusalem. 1 Chronicles 21 verse 16. The Bible mentions 2 more times in which an angel of God appears with a drawn sword. In the story of Balaam and Balak in the book of Numbers, it is said, "When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand, it turned off the road into a field." Numbers 22:23. Additionally, a similar description appears in the book of Joshua, when the war on the land began. Now when Joshua was near Jericho, he looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with a drawn sword in his hand. Joshua went up to him and asked, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" "Neither," he replied, "but as commander of the army of the Lord I have now come." Joshua 5 verses 13 to 14. At first, the angel's apparition seems to be corruptive, but in reality, it only came to corrupt during the days of David, and even then, it was the angel's apparition that halted the plague. If so, what is the purpose of the revelation of an angel holding a drawn sword in his hand? The first instance of an angel standing with a drawn sword as a threat or warning can be found in the book of Numbers, in the story of Balak. Balaam prepared his donkey and went to fulfill King Balak's mission to curse the Israelites. On his way, God sent an angel with a drawn sword to stand in the donkey's way, blocking their path. The donkey saw the angel, but Balaam did not, and when the donkey twisted to make a detour, Balaam hit him. The next time the donkey saw the angel, it passed close to the wall, and Balaam, whose leg had been crushed, struck her again. The third time, the donkey sat under Balaam and did not move, so Balaam struck the donkey a third time. Then, a miracle occurred. God opened the donkey's mouth, and it scolded Balaam for hitting it. All of a sudden, Balaam suddenly saw the angel. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with his sword drawn. So he bowed low and fell face down. Numbers 22:31. Balaam immediately bowed but still did not understand the meaning of the revelation. It was clear that God was informing Balaam that his way was contrary to God's will and walking in this way was in conflict with it. Only after this explicit explanation did Balaam finally understand what he had not understood before. Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, "I have sinned. I did not realize you were standing in the road to oppose me. Now if you are displeased, I will go back." Numbers 22:34. Until now, Balaam had not wanted to understand that his way was contrary to God's will. He thought he could override God's decision. Now that he has been told this explicitly, he offers to return to his place, but God's angel does not want Balaam to go back. And the angel of the Lord said to Balaam, "Go with the people and speak the word that I will speak to you." God ordered Balaam to go, as he wanted Balaam, who had intended to curse, to submit his will to God's will, thus revealing God's control over events with great power. God's angel did not stand in Balaam's way to kill him, nor to stop him. The angel who appeared to him explained what he did not understand himself. All events are in God's hands, and resistance to his will not succeed. The description of an angel with his sword drawn in his hand appears in 2 other places in the Bible. An angel with a drawn sword also stands before Joshua. The most famous meeting between a man and an angel took place in Jericho when Joshua and the Israelites were besieging the city and preparing for their first war in the land of Israel. Thus, the scripture describes that special meeting. Now when Joshua was near Jericho, he looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with a drawn sword in his hand. Joshua went up to him and asked, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" "Neither," he replied, "but as commander of the army of the Lord I have now come." Then Joshua fell face down to the ground in reverence, and asked him, "What message does my Lord have for his servant?" The commander of the Lord's army replied, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy." And Joshua did so. Joshua 5 verses 13 to 15. Joshua, the fearless leader who is supposed to lead the people in conquering the land, was walking around Jericho when suddenly an angel appeared in front of him in the form of a man with a drawn sword. But as with Balaam, the angel did not come to kill Joshua, nor is he angry at any action he did. So, why did the angel come to the camp of Israel? The commentators interpret that the purpose of the angel's coming was to inform him that he should not think that he would capture Jericho by human power. An angel appeared to Joshua to inform him that the conquest of Jericho would be done by God's army, and not by human hands. As the angel appeared to Balaam, so he also appeared to Joshua. In both cases, the purpose of the revelation was to make it clear that the act about to take place was done by God's mission, not by human action. King David also met an angel with a drawn sword at the end of his days. David saw the angel of God standing between heaven and earth, with a drawn sword in his hand and bent over Jerusalem to destroy it. After David counted the people, he realized he was wrong and asked for forgiveness for his sin. God allowed him to choose the punishment that would be imposed on him. 3 years of famine, 3 months of being swept away before your enemies, with their swords overtaking you, or 3 days of the sword of the Lord, days of plague in the land, with the angel of the Lord ravaging every part of Israel. Now then, decide how I should answer the one who sent me. David said to Gad, I am in deep distress. Let me fall into the hands of the Lord, for his mercy is very great, but do not let me fall into human hands. So the Lord sent a plague on Israel, and 70,000 men of Israel fell dead. And God sent an angel to destroy Jerusalem. But as the angel was doing so, the Lord saw it and relented concerning the disaster and said to the angel who was destroying the people, Enough. Withdraw your hand. The angel of the Lord was then standing at the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. David looked up and saw the angel of the Lord standing between heaven and earth, with a drawn sword in his hand extended over Jerusalem. Then David and the elders, clothed in sackcloth, fell face down. 1 Chronicles 21 verses 12 to 16. David chose the plague of the bubonic, because it was a punishment at the hands of God, rather than at the hands of man. Here is the explanation for David's decision to choose this punishment. At that time, King David thought to himself, if I say famine will come, Israel will accuse me of trusting in my treasures. So I didn't say that famine would come. And if I say a sword will come, Israel will say I trust in my heroes. That's why I didn't say that a sword would come. David chose the bubonic precisely because it is the only punishment given in an absolute way by God, and there is no possibility for man to circumvent God's will through human means. Indeed, the verses emphasize that the word is a fall into God's hands. From now on, it will not be surprising that an angel of God appears with his sword drawn in his hand in this story as well. Here too, the angel comes to express the fact that the occurrence is an act of God. Although David understood this himself, it was especially important to him to emphasize the matter. David wanted it to be clear to everyone that the matter was not an accident, and that it expressed a fall at the hands of God. The first impression of the angel's revelation was that his purpose was to corrupt, but in practice only in David's days the angel did corrupt. The similarities between the three cases are not limited to the fact that the angel of God appears with his sword drawn in his hand. In all three stories, the man who meets the angel falls on his face and bows his nose to the ground, and in all three the angel reprimands the person he meets. There is a special similarity between the stories of Joshua and David. In both, the place where they met the angel became a holy place. Looking at the three appearances of the angel, it appears that the angel of God symbolizes God's will, and he appears in cases where it is necessary to emphasize that the occurrence is not in human hands, but in the hands of God. For Balaam, this revelation was especially important, since he did not understand it himself and even attempted to defy God's will. The angel did not attempt to stop Balaam, but instead made God's will clear to him and explained that the curse and blessing were not in his hands, but in God's will. After the meeting with the angel, Balaam does continue to walk with his servants Balak. As soon as he reaches Balak, he clearly tells him what he didn't tell him before. "Well, I have come to you now," Balaam replied. "But I can't say whatever I please. I must speak only what God puts in my mouth." Numbers 22:38. God gave man free will, so he can even resist God's will or think he can change it. We hope you learned something new today. If you did, give this video a like and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more informative and entertaining content. See you next time.